All right. I stopped it. So
Okay.
I think we should kind of talk a little bit in depth about what we got here and what it means for the future because they were a little cagey on both of the things they announced.
Yep.
Uh Bruce Vaughn did not want to commit to anything.
I think it's because it's so early in the planning stage, like
Yes,
they
yeah.
because yeah, I get it, but also yeah, makes sense. They don't want a repeat of Beastly Kingdom where
Yeah.
they have everything announced and then just never, right? So,
Yeah, well, so I guess if you look at Beyond Big Thunder, which originally had space for Encanto.
mhm,
But if they are putting that in the tropical Americas, which is the new section of Animal Kingdom,
mhm.
what are we just focusing on? What else was there? The villains and Coco?
Coco and the villains, yeah.
Do you think they try to put Coco in the tropical Americas, or do
Uh
and we just focus on villain?
I
In
I don't I don't think so because tropical Americas is more like South America, not like Mexico or Latin America. At least when I think of that.
right, right, yeah, but you can
So
kind of smush whatever. The
yeah,
way that
but
they've said it, like,
right, maybe, and maybe they're just focusing on the villains, which honestly would be very cool. I would
mhm.
I would be down for that. Uh,
Well, the way that he was talking about that one, right, is like it's going to be the biggest, I don't think like space wise, right? But he's talking
yeah,
about biggest overhaul since, or even bigger than New Fantasyland.
which New Fantasyland was two new rides, uh, one show, and a few meet and greets, and
And eating. I had a
yeah,
couple
and
eating spots.
signature table
Gaston,
service,
be our guest.
Gaston's
Prince Eric's Market, where you just go buy like
buy fruit.
pickles
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, whatever. So I mean, it doesn't take a ton to be bigger than that. I feel like because like you could make an argument that Galaxy's Edge was bigger than that,
Well,
right?
yeah, but I mean, I guess I don't know.
But yeah,
Galaxy's Edge was two attractions. But I
yeah,
mean, if you include New Fantasyland, you're also including Storybook Circus. That's part of it. So
right.
you're including Big Top Circus, you're including an extra Dumbo spinner, right? Because they
Yep.
moved the one, so they had two. You're adding a retheme of Barnstormer. Like
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was a pretty big expansion.
I mean, so if it's bigger, I'm expecting like minimum three attractions, minimum, right?
I think
Like
they still go with two. I feel like that's their standard for a new land now. It's
maybe
like
or
two
like
attractions.
minimum three rides and like a new show. I'd imagine.
Oh,
I think
villain show could be cool if they
it
stick with
could be. Yeah,
villains.
it could be very cool. I think they could. I don't know. I think they have the space there to get it done. I think they could do it. Uh, but yeah, Magic Kingdom needs more capacity. So yeah, would make sense to get some more there, but probably like I said earlier, like minimum 7 years out, like a minimum probably. Like this is probably 2030 and beyond.
Yeah, that one's farther away than Animal Kingdom for sure.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
because Animal Kingdom seems like it could be done quicker, quicker.
Well, yeah. So let's I guess let's talk about that. So if they bring Indy, we don't know.
Mhm.
We assume it's a retheme of Dinosaur to match
Indiana Jones
Disneyland.
Adventure, Temple of the Forbidden Eye, which, to be fair, that that's like my favorite Disney attraction.
Could be a different story though, right? Like
Could be, yeah,
they could change up some stuff.
yeah. But
Same track.
yeah, I would. I know it would pain you to see it go, but
Yeah.
also, you know how big of a fan of Indiana Jones I am.
Well, you know how
So
they could have done both? You know how they could have put Indy with dinosaurs? It's the Dial of Destiny plot now.
true. Hey, maybe that's what they will use. Maybe
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah,
is.
there you go.
Yeah,
You have Dr. Seeker speaking to Indy over the intercom. Uh So where I'm really weird, where I'm really thrown off with this is the Encanto. Like I understand their theme of like, okay, well we have different countries, we have Africa, we have Asia, we're going to
Mhm.
focus on tropical Americas. So this is kind of where it's like the push in of IP is like a is what they're forced to do, right? Like
Mhm.
because I'm thinking of Asia. When they created
Yeah.
Asia, they didn't like, all right, they made Everest. They didn't like, let's put a Mulan attraction right here. And
Mhm.
Mushu is an animal. Oh my god, look at that. We can put an animal kid. So like I'm kind of curious on like I think I'd be more for this if it was just a tropical Americas. Right? Like if it
Mhm.
wasn't like them pushing like, okay, well we have to throw in Encanto.
Here,
We have to put in I do like this
uh,
better than Zootopia Moana, I'll say.
yeah, because Moana is already represented well in Epcot.
Well,
We
and they'll also have like it's a general theme,
Yeah,
tropical Americas. What was Zootopia Moana?
yeah, it was nothing. It was IP land. That's what it was. But you know what? I here's what I could see working for Encanto. Because each of the Madrigals has a gift, right? And the youngest kid, Antonio, his gift is being able to speak to animals. And oh man, is it Isabel? The oldest daughter, hers is like being able to grow flowers and stuff like that, and like
Mm-hmm.
why
Mm-hmm.
and like stuff like that. So if they made an attraction that focused on those elements of it, I think you could say like, yeah, it's about like showing off like these things about animals and about wildlife, stuff like that. I think there's a way to implement it in without deviating too far from the ideals. And I mean, Expedition Everest deviates a little bit. The whole story is like, oh, there's this company that's now taking tourist attractions up to up towards Everest, right? They're taking over an old trading route and
Mm-hmm.
are doing this. So I think that kind of fits sort of the theme of adventure, which is how you get kind of Indiana Jones as well, type in there. And I think it can work. It has to be done in a specific way, I think, for it to really fit in. Like, how Avatar was done, right? Where you're going in like the Alpha Centauri expeditions, like a conservation type thing, and you're looking at all of the flora and fauna and animals, and taking part in a ceremony that involves animals, right? In the Ikran with Flight of Passage. So
Yeah, I guess I'm not like I wasn't really sold on Pandora uh to begin with, like fitting the theme. They made it work, but also it was like we weren't losing anything with Camp Mini Mickey. Like it was such
mhm.
a like it was supposed to be Beastly Kingdom, right? And then they were like, well, we'll just stick this Camp Mini Mickey thing here. When the budget ran dry, I guess. But um I guess one thing that makes me like a little uncomfortable about it is I'm not sure if it's like if their mind is in the right place with this. And what I mean by that is they were trying to fit Encanto in Magic Kingdom. And then it almost seems like they're like, we can't.
Mhm.
So where can we put it? It's kind of so like I'd like to think they can focus on like the wildlife and stuff like that, but I feel like they might just take the same thing they were planning for Magic Kingdom and then just drop it into Animal Kingdom.
Maybe, but I I'm gonna have some confidence in them for a little bit, uh, because I mean, personally, Primeval Whirl and Triceratops Spin doesn't really fit the wildlife theme to begin with. It's just carnival rides. So I think I'm
Well, it
gonna
fit the theme
try.
of Dinoland,
Yeah, but
which was, Chester and Hester were uh, built a place on top of all this area that has dinosaur bones, which is why you also have the Boneyard and the Dino Institute.
I'm gonna be optimistic, especially because anything Indiana Jones is going to immediately catch my attention and get me excited because Now, if they make this without Indiana Jones, I'm gonna be real sad. That's the thing. Like this, my support of this hinges entirely on Indiana Jones being involved
Well, I
because
just wonder. This is where I'm a little like they're a little confusing with what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So, what I mean by this is we've talked about Galaxy's Edge
mhm.
and how they're like, well, we actually can't have any old characters because it's taking place in this one moment of time. But we're getting Encanto mixed with indie, like, you know what I'm saying? So like then put more stuff in Galaxy's Edge. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of weird how like sometimes they're like really protective about the story of the area, and then other
Mhm.
times they're like, well, what can we put in this land? And
Well,
they just
I
grabs that.
I think they can work together
But I
because
mean,
they
like, do
both.
they take place during the same time?
I mean, not every attraction, even in like the themed lands, take place at the same time. Like
Right.
not
That's why I'm
necessarily,
saying it's
right?
so dumb for Galaxy's Edge that they were so
Well,
set
no,
on making
I
it
agree.
one
Yeah,
time.
I agree that's dumb. But they have also seemingly started to reverse course slightly, which is good. You know, bringing in some more characters from like the Mandoverse, I guess you could say, in the Clone Wars era,
Mm-hmm.
characters that have survived long enough. Uh, but yeah, I we'll see. I think these two can fit together. They both take place. I mean, you can. Indiana Jones has been to India or to South America several times over the
Yeah.
course of the movies, and Encanto, of course, taking place in Colombia. If you do Peru, like if you base it off of the Temple of the Golden Idol from the first movie, the Indiana Jones attraction, right? That's in Peru. Peru and Colombia border each other. There you go. You're crossing over the
Mm-hmm.
border between Colombia and Peru, and you got it. I'm just throwing things together at this point, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot more refinement of either of these two ideas before we hear any real like official announcements.
Yeah. I'm assuming so. Bruce Vaughn joined in March, so
I
after the Blue Sky stuff was presented.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is directly in response.
Yeah, I'm assuming he was like, we're not putting Zootopia and Moana and Animal Kingdom. So I hope I think he may have been. It could have been anybody else. Could have been like, this doesn't really fit. Like Tropical Americas fits more. So I'm not like dead set against this as I was with the other one. But it's like, just sometimes they're very inconsistent with how they do with certain things. I'm trying to figure out like where this stuff is all going. Just looking at the picture of it. Um, okay, let's talk some other stuff that was like actually announced. So they're working to do a new test track layout. As
Yep.
an avid new test track fan, how are you feeling?
Okay. I'm not an avid new test track fan. I am an avid new test track defender though. I'm defending that it is good. But you know what? If if they bring back some of the you know original theming of like going through testing of like the vehicles, making it less digital, that and keeping the car customization feature, I think that can be kind of a cool way to mesh the two together. And they said, bringing back ideas from World of Motion, which very cool attraction, right? So I think I would be excited to see what they can come up with for it, as long as the customization thing stays. Because I could take or leave the theming of the inside of the ride, right? The thing that I defend about the new test track is the customization is fun and cool.
I assume
That's
that's
it.
gone.
No, no, please.
Yeah, I do. I do. They said that
No,
they're like going more old school with it, World of Motion and
that
test track, I guess. So I assume this picture that they put on the screen is like almost like going through a forest? I'm kind of confused
Yeah,
on this.
well, remember the handling test had you going through like a forest in the original version.
Oh, true, true.
Well, I think it'll be interesting
But
to
the
see
car
what.
still looks futuristic, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that they're going to try and mesh the two together, which could be really good. Oh, also with Animal Kingdom, we should mention the Tree of Life Theater uh
Yes.
getting Zootopia show, which honestly, all right, because who goes on It's Tough to Be a Bug? Like when was the last time you went and saw It's Tough to Be a Bug? Because I'll tell you, my last time going there was 8 years ago.
Mine has to be 12 to 15 years ago.
Right? Like,
I did not do it any time on my programs, and I don't remember doing it since I was a kid.
yeah, and it like never, it probably never fills its capacity in the theater, right?
Well, I always
So,
forget it's there, honestly.
right, like because it's so tucked away. But I think this could be good. This could be interesting.
They'll
They
probably put
said they
more
would,
signs out for this too. They'll be like, "Hey,
yeah,
Zootopia is in here."
and also it seemed like they were going to, put some, make this kind of themed about the animals and the biomes, which in that case, I think that can fit with Animal Kingdom, right?
Yeah,
Exploring
no,
their
this is a
biomes.
perfect fit for Zootopia now. I think that, you know, that area fits more than like building Zootropolis.
Yeah, and I think it also makes a lot of sense to retheme an attraction that desperately needs some help because I've seen some videos of the Hopper animatronic that they use in the show. It's working like maybe 50% of the time,
Mm.
and so like it needs some help. It needs some assistance. This is a good opportunity for it.
Well, other news that happened was Figment meet and greet starts Sunday, the 10th, in Journey into Imagination. We also had Ahsoka is coming to Star Tours. I'm trying to figure out if they meant like scenes from the show or if they mean like her hologram, like you said, or is she gonna meet out there and they're like, well, this fits like her not being in the sequel era. I don't know. Like it's
I,
kind of
I'm gonna guess that you have her appearing as a hologram for part of it, and also, you have her like some locations from the show. I haven't caught up on it. I've
Mhm.
only just started episode 1.
Okay.
So I don't know what locations those would be, but
Episode
you know,
4 is really good.
I've heard that, which
And
is why I
episode
started
five's
watching.
going into theaters too. They're doing a limited run on Tuesday night in theaters. Select theaters.
Probably not near me. But
My
yeah,
closest
so
one was DC and Philly. I'm like, I'm not going up there.
yeah, let's see what other big
Country Bears.
announcements for the parks. Yep, let's go to Magic Kingdom for a bit after the Frontierland. Country Bear Jamboree is getting a new soundtrack, assuming also a new kind of show. It'll be interesting to see if they switch between these two shows, right? Like the classic and
I
the new
assume they're just
soundtrack.
going to keep. I assume they're just going to do a new show.
I think so as well, but
A shame because I really do like the Country Bear songs. Um, but what I'll say is I was sweating a little bit when they mentioned Country Bears.
and Zootopia is coming to Magic Kingdom as the
Yeah, as the
animals
singing, yeah, it's the
as
gazelle.
Gazelle
Yeah,
brings
oh
her
my
new
god.
show to the Country Bear
Well, then
Jamboree.
there was rumors of them bringing in like uh what Louis from Princess and the Frog and stuff. Like there was rumors of that.
Yeah,
And I
but
was like, no, please
no, they're
not.
they're keeping the same cast,
Same
which is good.
cast, new
Just with
songs
yeah,
that sound like Country Bear country and stuff.
yeah,
So they played Bare Necessities, which is a song that fits.
yep. I
I just wonder, like, look, it had to be done because the show's not as popular now.
Yep.
I get that. But it is just a little sad that like, we're getting not like brand new original songs, we're getting Disney
Well, we
movie
don't know
songs.
yet, right? Like they just showed that. For all we know, they could be making some new original songs too,
Well, they
right?
said like
So
Disney classics reimagined, so I assume that
we
that'll be the
I mean,
whole thing.
until we see like the actual set list, I'm still thinking there could be a chance they bring some new original songs, or that they bring some of these other songs from the original into this new version. Because like, it's themed to like a Nashville country variety show, right? So you could fit like pretty with that you can fit pretty much anything in, right? Because I'm thinking like the scenes from uh the James Mangold Johnny Cash movie where they have like a bunch of different country artists coming together performing their own stuff, and the genres switch out from time to time,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. Like I I'm excited, and also, good way to revitalize an attraction that could use more people coming to it, alleviate some attendance and some crowd control around the park. I think that's good.
Yeah, it says getting new songs and a new act reinterpreting favorite Disney songs in different genres of country music.
So a new act potentially. So that interprets those songs. So that to me says that we're still getting some original songs.
Maybe.
At least that's how I would read that. But
I would just hope, look, at least keep Big Al's blood on the saddle. That should be priority one. Um, okay. Breaking news: a new Pirates of the Caribbean themed lounge is coming to Adventureland. So I assume this is where like Tortuga Tavern is, which is part of Pecos Bill currently. First of a kind experience extending the story of Pirates of the Caribbean.
the big thing for me about this is bringing back a classic piece of Disney history, which is the Barker Bird animatronic that used to sit to advertise Enchanted Tiki Room. And
Mm.
fun fact, the reason it got removed, it was originally in Disneyland. It got removed because that animatronic was so popular and people would line up to see it, so no crowds could get through. Like it
Oh wow.
completely. So that's why they removed it originally. But that's a huge piece of Disney history that they're bringing back into
Yeah,
this one.
put them in a little tavern, and you can have almost like thinking. I'm thinking of like Rex in Oga's Cantina DJing.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like you
exactly.
can
Yeah,
get
yeah.
your picture with them. You can still eat and drink and whatever.
I like it. I really like it. What else for Magic Kingdom did they
That
announce?
was it for Magic.
What was that really it?
Yeah. Well, Hatbox Ghost is coming in
Right.
late November. That's
Yep.
it.
And they also explained the story and why it fits. So everyone who was screaming on Twitter that Disney Imagineering is dead because they put the Hatbox Ghost by the endless hallway, you can be quiet now. You can
They
just
won't though.
they won't, but please just shush.
Um.
It's fine. It works.
Okay, and then Epcot gets World Celebration Neighborhood.
Yep,
What is this, by
finally.
the way?
So that's the central area. So you know how Epcot recently has had like
Yeah.
that entire area behind Spaceship Earth has been closed down. This will finally open,
Oh,
which
okay, okay.
means the construction walls are going to be down. People can walk again. And that is going to do wonders. It's not a new attraction, right? This isn't a new attraction, but
It'll help with spacing and walking and stuff.
it's going to be so fantastic for spacing and walking, because it is like, having been there now, I went there twice in the 2 days I was there in August. It is still hell to walk through. It is
Mm,
difficult to walk through. You have one corridor that you have to loop around.
yeah,
To get across the park, you have to make an entire loop around this area.
true.
This is going to be amazing for being able to walk through the park. It's going to make things less crowded at the beginning of the park, less congested. So I'm very happy for this. It's definitely a step back from what was originally envisioned for this area. But honestly, like it still looks really nice. I'm excited that it's finally going to be there.
Journey of Water opening October 16th, and Moana is going to be meet and greets there.
Yep, with a specific area, which
Yeah.
cool, good.
And then we have the new nighttime spectacular at Epcot called Luminous, sorry, the
Yep.
Symphony of Us. Can't really say much about that.
Yeah.
We'll see what it's like when it happens, but it's debuting December 5th. And that's it for like the US parks. Because we talked about Test Track. They're creating 3 new ships for the cruise line.
Yep. The new one of them will be called the Disney Adventure.
Yes.
And they gave the private island is called Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, which originally it was just called Lighthouse Point. So I think, it cool, fine.
Yeah,
It's a name change.
it's mouthy. It's a little too much.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
a little too long.
yeah, but good because private islands for those Disney cruises are definitely a highlight. So it will be cool to have like a different option for one as well.
Private islands are just a highlight. I
I
love
mean,
going to
yeah,
mine all the time. Um, I have my own.
yeah.
But anyway, then we have Fantasy Springs at Tokyo, which looks pretty decently far along.
Hmm.
And then the Walt Disney Studios park in France did not look very far along.
No, it did not.
And Hong Kong Frozen opening in November.
Yep, yep. That looks very far along.
Well, it should be. It's opening
Yeah,
in
it should,
2 months.
yeah, you're right.
That'd be
I
a
think
problem.
I think and then also we got a first look at some animatronic work for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which
Oh yes, yes.
shows that yes, they are making brand new animatronics for it. I saw some people talking like, what if they just use screens for it? But no, it seems like they are making new animatronics to fit this. It's not going to be just screens, thankfully.
Yeah, I don't it looked like there wasn't a lot of screens in any of the stuff that they were showing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like,
Like in
some.
Hong Kong or in Studios Park there wasn't any screen. It was a lot of like, you see Kristoff getting an animatronic. So yeah, hopefully that means they're moving away from so much screen usage.
Yeah, I,
They're not like they're not like the other park, that uses screens all the time.
yeah, you know what? This, this was a lot more than I was expecting. I'm gonna be honest. We got some cool stuff. I know that you personally are still very tentative about anything happening to Dino Land. I
Mm-hmm.
know, but I just looked at Twitter and saw on there like someone tweeting at the Horizoneer, going from Zootopia to Indiana Jones is such a massive bullet dodge. Yeah. So I think at the very least, if Dino Land is being replaced, are you happier with this compared to
Yeah,
what
I
it
said that
was?
earlier. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm much more in favor of this because of the God, there's a theme of the
Yeah.
tropical Americas. It's not just I don't know what they would have called it, Oceania and then Zootropolis. Like I don't know what they would have had 2 separate sections, I guess, but
Yeah.
um having a central theme in a park that Animal Kingdom is so serious, right? Like I mean like I take this seriously. You have such good theming in Africa, in Asia,
Mhm.
in those areas that you're like, if they just stick in Zootropolis and Oceania area, I'm like, I don't know how much they're thinking about what they're doing. At least the tropical Americas, what you're going to have between the attractions right? When you're walking to the attractions, just like you have crocodiles in Dino Land and stuff, you're gonna
Yep.
have tropical America animals, I would assume, right? There's gonna
Yeah.
be something to see. There's gonna be some stuff to do.
And
Um,
I'm
I
looking at the
hope.
concept art closer. Like it looks like intricately themed. And honestly, like Encanto seems like tucked away in its own area where it won't like distract too much from the overall like look of everything. It seems pretty cohesive. And the Indiana Jones temple over is like tucked away in a different corner of it as well, which definitely like I'm looking at this. It looks like the Encanto house is over by where Dinorama currently is.
Yes, yes. All right. So I figured this out. All right. So the bridge area where you walk in and you go under is like the little where you walk in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
As you go forward in the center, which is usually kind of like usually a split path where you would go right to Restaurantosaurus or go straight.
Yep.
That it looks like where the fountain is. Where Boneyard is looks like a covered canopy. I don't know if this is an attraction like a carousel or something,
Yeah. It
but it
could
looks
be.
like something there. Chester and Hester, you can tell the building immediately. It's in the top left, where Chester and Hester's
Yep.
store is. And then you have right where the carnival ride is and right where Primeval World used to be is the Encanto house.
Yep.
Restaurantosaurus looks pretty the same here on
It,
the
it
right.
does. It
Yes,
definitely
which
does.
is themed as I guess, going to be a restaurant as well. And then where Dino Institute is looks to be where the Mayan temple is. You can tell that wraparound queue line to the right is where that covered dinosaur queue is.
Yep.
That if you go outside, which you never do, you go right in.
Yep.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, like that seems to lend credibility to the idea that it would be a retheming of dinosaur.
yes, yeah, yeah.
For sure. Also, like I will say that this makes me super happy to see South American representation
Mm-hmm.
in Disney because you know that one of my gripes with World Showcase is that it is missing representation
It's
from an
very
entire
Euro
continent,
based, yeah.
right? Or two continents, really. It's missing representation from Oceania and South America.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, my dad's side of the family is from South America. This is all I'm happy that we're finally getting some of that because it seems like it's been passed over in the two areas where it would fit in. So I I like the idea of it. We'll see what the execution looks like, but you know, this looks very cool. And also, you know, it sounds like they could put Coco in here actually because it says the northern part of South America stretching up to Central America.
Mm-hmm.
But
The thing
even
is, we
then,
don't see it on here, but like you
even
said, it's
then,
blue
does is
sky.
Mexico isn't still considered really in that region. Like Central America, I think of the countries in Latin America, right? Not Mexico.
Well, I think they
Now,
might just drop off Coco at this point because it
yeah, yeah.
wasn't as big of a hit as Encanto. I don't think. Like, I mean, Encanto box office wise didn't make crap, right? But
But
when you look
because
at the
pandemic release,
impact,
yeah,
the impact once it hit Disney Plus, right, and everybody's talking
huge.
about
Yeah,
Bruno, even though they shouldn't. And then you have what I would assume. We didn't get any news about Magic Kingdom, but I think they're going to take that really seriously. I think that's why I didn't want to share any
yep.
news on that. And that's going to be, it might be a huge villain area.
It could
Or
be,
they
yeah.
might remove on from that totally and they might just do totally something different. But
Which cool, you know, like if they're doing if it seems like there's going to be some cool stuff there. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. And you know what? Last year, California Adventure and Disneyland Resort got a ton of focus, and Walt Disney World got like nothing except for
yeah,
some vague
we had just
concepts.
the blue sky, I
Yeah,
think.
this year it was very much the opposite way around,
Oh, yeah, let's
which
talk about
makes sense because it's hosted in Disney World, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. They
but
briefly showed some. King Thanos stuff, just like the ship vehicle and how they're going to make it work in the story of like using the Xandarian jump points with Iron Man tech with all that kind of stuff. We
Yeah.
still don't know much about that, but I assume it's going to be I would assume it's going to be like a Star Tours where you can change
Well,
locations so that
yeah,
way it really drives in the multiverse stuff, I
that
would
could be
think.
kind of cool. I would be, and it could fit in that area that they have set aside for it for
And make you
sure.
want to rewrite it,
I
right? Like
I you know what? I'm just excited for Avengers attractions to come to the US. Even though Web Slingers hasn't been as well received as it could have been, still excited for I was still excited for it, still love it. Uh this is cool. And I'm sure they're going to do something great with it. Uh the concept art looks good. The fact that they're blending all of these cool technologies, imaginary technologies they've developed in the MCU for this, that's awesome.
yeah, any other things that we missed?
I'm looking through the Disney Parks thread here for
That's what I
anything,
was doing
and
too.
uh,
I
I
guess
mean,
one thing with the Magic Kingdom, just to stress too, they said that they're really going in overdrive,
mhm.
which I don't know what they really meant by that. If Josh meant like how much they're putting into it, or like that they're ramping up on this, or like they're really starting to dive into it more, or like I'm kind of confused on what he meant by that. What would be your guess?
I'm guessing that they're probably going really deep into studying the area, figuring out exactly what they can fit there, and design, like going full scale on like designing something. Because an expansion like this, when with New Fantasyland, they had a giant scale model that they presented to the public once they were ready to announce it. I'm guessing we're going to have something very similar where they're like getting, like they are going to solidify every single thing, and really,
Which is the way
really
it should be. I mean,
yeah,
like
well, yeah, of course, but
Bruce Vaughn even said it, right? He's like, it kind of shocked me how you went over Blue Sky stuff last year. He's like, I'm not used to doing that. And I think that's why they kind of stayed away from that for Magic, because he said this is like his first big project since he came back. He
mhm.
like immediately jumped into this project. So I assume they're going to be kind of tight lipped about this. I don't even know if we get any news about this next D23. This might, you know, or if we get news about it, it might not be any solidifying news, right? It might be like, we're still working on Magic
Yep.
Kingdom, but I don't expect like a land unveiling next year either.
Yeah, I don't either. uh I think we're going to, i think I think some good stuff will happen there eventually, but there's definitely going to be a lot coming in. But I'm excited. This is so much more than I was expecting.
I was actually maybe expecting a little bit more in the solidifying phase of like we don't even get like when it hit talk about tropical Americas, we don't even get like a land signage or like graphic, or like I was expecting a little bit more, but they might still play around with this whole thing. We're not
Yeah, I'm
hundred
sure
percent
that.
sure this is what's gonna happen. I assume this is like what they felt most comfortable with, and that I would assume Indy and Encanto are locks, but
Mhm.
maybe the land name might be something different. Maybe I don't know what they're playing around with, or maybe they add another thing in there, like we talked about with Coco, or um, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm
This
just
this
curious.
this looks interesting. Indiana Jones for me is always a win.
Hmm. Well, it'd be nice to have like more indie rep in the in this side of the country, right? We
Yeah,
just have the stunt show.
which I love the stunt show, but oh man, I just the Indiana Jones Adventure, my first time riding that, just it made me so happy. Like being able to be in my favorite movie franchise of all time.
Hmm.
Like, I'm a big Marvel guy. Indiana Jones is above that for me. Like, it means more to me. And so the idea that that's finally going to be in Florida, or at least there's a big possibility of it.
And should I
Awesome.
clarify? I'll clarify for people on here. Like, I'm not just like a Dino Land stan. Like, I worked there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why it is so
His
near and dear to
protection
my
for it
heart.
isn't irrational.
But like Dinosaur, the ride, I was a fan of before I worked there. Like, that was one of my favorite rides. Um, so I'll be in mourning for that for sure. But like, I'll look. I'll be able to move on. Universal removed Back to the Future ride, which is my favorite movie of all time franchise. So I'll will survive, but
Yeah.
it's just gonna hurt a bit. I'm hoping, sometimes they've been very very late at announcing stuff in the sense of like when it closes. Like I wish I would have been able to get on Splash again, but they closed it really quick. So I'm hoping at least when I go down again in like July that I'll be able to ride Dinosaur.
It sounds like you've got enough, like, at least, I'd say at least a year. At
Yeah.
minimum, you've got at least a year before anything starts on this. So uh I think it'll be there for you to be able to see it at least one more time.
Hope so.
Yeah. Uh given how far along in, not a bad way, but like,
Yeah.
they're not far along in it. So uh one more time with Dr. Seeker at least. Or I'm sure if you do go there in July, it'll
I'll
be
ride
at
it a couple times.
least 4 or 5 more times with Dr. Seeker.
Yeah. Um okay, well, I guess we can wrap it up. Anything else we missed or we
No, I mean, let us know your reactions
Yeah.
to what you saw. Are you excited for are you excited for the Animal Kingdom overhaul? Are you excited for the Country Bears overhaul? What do you think about Test Track? Are you team old or new Test Track? And are you excited for construction hell to finally end at Epcot? Because I know I am. But
That's the worst part is how long it takes for them to like bring down the walls and stuff. Like when they're going through, and then you know what? They're gonna go right back up for um all of my Dino Land fans on friends on Facebook are in mourning right now. But how long they take the walls down and then it's like, oh, the walls are up again because you're gonna have like the Dino Land construction at some point. You're gonna have they might even be able to open this in phases too. Like I would
yeah,
assume
they could. Yeah.
I would assume the retheme from Dino to Indy is fast.
Mm.
If it is the same track, like if they're doing the same exact thing, they can clone that pretty well from California and move it over. And you could open up like that section while you're still working on the Encanto section, like so
Is there
maybe we
enough
get phase.
space to? I mean, maybe there is. Like, you'd have to do the center area first. Like, you'd have to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
that first. But yeah, you could. I mean, also, given that they've already destroyed Primeval Whirl, it wouldn't be that difficult to do the Encanto area stuff first. Because for crowd flow, it
True,
would probably
true.
be easier, right? Like, because you could then just close off the one section over by where the Dino Institute branches off, and then do all the work on that. But we'll see. We'll no official announcements yet. We'll see.
Yeah, let's just clarify again here. This is Disney's exact quote on it. WDI is planning to reimagine Dinoland into a new land inspired by a region sometimes referred to as the tropical Americas. New experiences inspired by Encanto and the fan favorite adventure Indiana Jones are being considered for the
Yep.
reimagined land. So it's kind of like the same thing as last year, blue sky stuff, and we saw how fast that changed. So who knows at this point? We're operating on what they told us. I think this fits better than last year's plan. I assume this is what they want to go through. Um, though I don't know if they'll look at Dial of Destiny's performance and be like, never mind. Though I think they would have done that
They would
before.
have done that before
They
this.
would have done that before we go here today, but Who knows? All right. Well, you can follow us along and share your thoughts. All of our information's in the show notes or in the YouTube video description below. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time.